So I've just made another summary. It's literally the same thing, but instead of a table, I've kind of made it like a little tree diagram. So I'm just going to explain it, and then you're going to identify what type of question each question is, and then answer whatever it's saying. So is the keyword increasing or decreasing? And so I'll do one question, I guess. All right, so randomly picking one. I guess I'll pick the first one. All right, so which of the 4 options is this word problem? So to answer that, I'll ask, is the keyword increasing or decreasing? I don't know, so let's read. So you'll notice none of these have been bolded for you. You have to read. So it says $3,400 is placed in an account in 2020 with the annual interest rate of 7.5%. How much is in the account in 2037 to the nearest tenth? Okay, so sometimes they're not going to give you the keyword. You have to infer the keyword. Here's the question for you. If I put money in an account, I put $3,400 in an account, and it has an interest rate of 7.5. Here's a question for you. Would you put money in an account if that money is going down? Absolutely not. So you're inferring that what they're saying is that you're going to put this money in there, and then it's going to increase by a rate of 7.5. So the key word on this question is increasing. So if the keyword is increasing, and please don't mark any of this because you're going to be reading it for each one. I just want to make sure you're following. So if the keyword is increasing, the options are yes, and the answer is, and the other option is no. So if it's increasing or decreasing, yes. If it's not, no. So this is yes. So I'm going to go to yes. All right. Is there percent in the question? So if I look through this, is there percent? Yes, right there. So I'm going to follow yes again. Is it growth? So again, we just talked about this. You wouldn't put it if it was decay. So you're definitely going to say yes. So if it's growth, yes. So of course, because it's increasing, it's growing. So yes. So B is greater than 1. So this is how you'd write B. So again, remember your equation is y equals AB. X is always our beginning point. Y equals A, B to shift 6, X. That's always our starting point. And so if it is greater than 1, which means it's increasing, and yes, it is greater than 1, then B is 1 plus. So now I'm going to change B to 1 plus percent. And I think if I type percent, it does something weird. It does. So I'm just going to leave it blank, divided by, and then 100. So now I have my equation ready to go. And all I do is now put in the numbers because I've identified how to work it. So $3,400 placed in the account in 2020. So that means my A is $3,400. Okay, it earns an interest rate. It's increasing by an interest rate of 7.5. So my percent is 7.5. So that's my function. How much will be in the account in 2037? Well, I started in 2020, right? So with years, you got to think 2037 minus 2020, it's been 17 years. So I'm now going to make this a table, and then I'm going to go to 17, or you can type in 17. It's probably faster to type it in. So this is the amount. And again, usually if they don't tell you to the nearest cent, then you would assume because it's money, that's how you write money. It's always 2 decimal places. So you again use the calculator to round that. So you're going to type in round, parentheses, the number you want to round, and then you want two numbers after the decimal place. So I'll say 2. If it doesn't appear, it's a 0. Make sure you write that 0. So $3,400 is placed into the account in 2020. How much will it be in 2027? And please, for all of these, I need you to write down what did you type in decimal so I can. So this is going to be y equals $3,400, 1 plus, because it's growing. The percent is 7.5 over 100, all raised to the power of x. How much is in the account in the year 2037 to the nearest cent? Okay, so because this is not just how much is in the account after 5 years, I do need you to tell me how did you calculate what x is. So I do need you to show me the work of what you put in decimals, which was 2037 minus the year 2020. And that gives me a time of 17 years. Okay, so x is equal to 17. So that way I know exactly what you did. And then now you can put in the answer of $11,625.80. Okay, please make sure. So 2 numbers after the decimal because it says to the nearest cent. If there's not a second number, it's 0 because you don't say I have 11,625.8. You say I have 11,625.80. Okay. All right. What does the 3,400 represent in context? So it's asking, what does this mean? This is your A. So what I'm going to write is, I'm going to say this is A, which means the initial or the amount of dollars in the account at the start. So anything like that. Okay. So the initial dollar amount in account. Anything along those lines is fine. What does the 1.07 represent? Well, I don't even see that, but what it means is this must be, and I'm just going to X out of this so I can see the next thing. You see how that whole thing is B. It's 1.075. So what does the 1.075 in context represent? It is the growth factor. Okay, so it is, so it represents B is equal to 1.075, which represents the growth factor by which the money in the account is multiplied by or grows by. Okay, so basically, if you just multiply by 1.075, right, that's how much your money is going to grow by. All right, so that's me going through one complete problem. I think I'll do one more just, to do one more. So I'll do example 7. I'm going to kind of be going back and forth between these two. All right, so example 7. So again, I'm just going to ask myself, is the keyword increasing or decreasing? So assume that a liver can remove 15% of medication from a person's bloodstream every 8 hours. Okay, so we've got a couple of keywords going on here. First of all, I'm removing, which means I could look at this as it's decreasing by 15%. But then I've got another hint here because it says every 8 hours. So I have a percent that I'm decreasing by, and then I have a period of time. So that means my time is going to change, and then I'm going to have one minus. But I'm going to read through the little summary thing that we have. Is the keyword increasing or decreasing? Yes, this time the keyword is decreasing. So I'm going to go this way. So yes. Is percent in the question? Yes. Is it growth? No, because we just said it's decreasing. So it's decay. The B is going to be between 0 and 1. So when I get done, like the previous question, I can see B is 1.075. I know I did it correctly. All right, so B is 1 minus. So again, we're going to start off with a function or equation, which is ABX. Y equals A parentheses B shift 6x. And I already know that I am decaying. So that means I'm doing 1 minus. So 1 minus whatever the percent is divided by 100. Oops, that's the wrong spot. Divided by 100. All right, so I'm starting my problem off. But there's a second hint here. So it's already decay. But I also have a period of time. And a period of time means that this right here is supposed to be every year, every hour, every whatever the question is. But because I have every 8 hours, I know that also this time must change, which means I'm dividing by every 8 hours. Okay, so you're dividing by the every part. All right, so I've set up my equation, and now I just need to put in whatever numbers I have. So assume the liver can remove. So it's removing, so 1 minus, and I'm removing 15. That's the percent that goes over there. Every 8 hours, that's underneath the X. A patient takes 240 milligrams dose of the medication. So that's what I start off taking. So I start by taking this. I'm going to remove this, which I have to make sure it's decay. So I'm going to press this. Yes, it's decay because it's between 0 and 1. And with the time, it's not every 1 hour or every 1 year or every 1 whatever. So this is hours. So that means I have to account for that time. It's every 8 hours. All right. So then now it should be good to go. To answer the question, how much of the medication will remain after 48 hours? So this question remain, even though it has the word remain in it, it's not part of the initial situation. It's just asking, hey, given this situation, what's now left? And that's why I'm putting these words everywhere so you can distinguish the difference between. So that formula is going to come from the situation or the contextual problem. So that's going to come from this part right here. Once I have my formula, then I can answer my question. So now that I have that, how much is remaining after 48 hours? We're going to press enter here. And this makes sense because remember, every 8 hours, should be getting a whole number. So 8 days, that whole number. And then of course, as you go, it may not stay that whole number, but that's how I just know the first couple. So it'll be decimals until you get to, what's another 8? 16. So 16 should be issued. Like, see, it's not a whole number, but it's less than all of these because it's every interval of 8. It's kind of how I just roughly know. So I don't want to specifically say it's always going to be a whole number, but every interval was going to be a less of a decimal than this unless you just keep going for a really long time. So the question is, how much of the medication remains after 48 hours? So I'm just going to change one of these to 48. This is how much medication, round to the nearest whole number. So that's going to be 91. Again, if you're having issues with round, just type it into decimals, round parentheses, the number that you wish to round, which is this number, Control C, Control V, comma, how do you want it to round by? So whole number means I don't want any decimals, so I'm going to press 0. So this is 91. All right, so for example 7, how much of the dose is left? Is that what the question is? A patient asks. Okay, so here we go. It's 90 milligrams. That's what's left. So just make sure, 91 milligrams. And I think the short version of milligram is mg. But just make sure you put in the units of whatever your answer is. Once again, please write down what you're putting in decimals because an answer is not going to help me help you. So for every question, you have to write down what that function is. So I'm just going to squeeze it right here. Y is equal to 240, 1 minus 15 over 100. And then we have x divided by 8. And there was nothing else I was doing in this question except finding, it didn't ask me if it's growth or decay. So basically, whatever you're putting in decimals, I need here. So this one was just what is the function, and then from that, what is it after 48 hours? So x is equal to 48. And I guess I can just point to that. X is equal to 48. So just make sure for each of these problems, you're kind of following the arrows. Don't highlight anything because it's going to change each time. Follow the highlighters, see if it can help you, and then you're bringing me the questions so I can check each question as you go. Let's practice.